Cultural hegemony is the idea that one culture is pushed and forced all around the world. Now in entertainment you could see this to be true because Hollywood and America as a whole dominates the entertainment all around the world. What we put on screen is what everyone else watches, the ideas, the cultures, and the identities that we push out. And in the 80s, you would think the goal for every man was to stand up and fight the good fight. It was to rip your shirt off and just beat your way through every henchman to go save the girl. All while shouting yippee-ki-yay or I ain't got time to bleed. Oh, the good old days. However, if you watch modern movies, you would think the goal of most American men is to button up your shirt to your chin, drink soy-flavored water, and shut up and do what you're told in all circumstances. And unfortunately for the left, yet another movie broke this postmodern Marxist stereotype by telling a true story. 12 Strong is a movie about the horse soldiers in Afghanistan, and is also the latest movie condemned for toxic masculinity. Well, let's see what this movie actually promotes, and if it's worth a watch. I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. This is Jerry Bruckheimer's latest film. He is one of the few Hollywood producers that is a conservative. Opening weekend, 12 Strong grossed just about $35 million. Production budget was not released. I do want to talk about what this movie promotes and the insane critiques that it was given. But first, let's just see how this thing stacks up as a movie. My viewer review is a 3 out of 5. Now, this is what I call an intimate war movie. For example, this is more of an American Sniper or Lone Survivor kind of movie. Now this means more focusing on one single idea, mission, or goal. Now there are also great macro war movies, more like Dunkirk or Saving Private Ryan, and these focus more on broad storylines and a bigger narrative. Now all these movies are great, but there are specific things each one needs to be good. Now 12 Strong does have some great intense moments that leave you on the edge of your seat, as well as being very beautiful to watch. Also the stunts and choreography are pretty exciting, and being the fact that it's based on a true story gets you invested from the very get-go. I'm also going to start giving performance awards for who I think gave the best performance in a movie, and in 12 Strong I'm going to give the award to Navid Nagahavan, I hope I said his name right, who plays General Dostum. Now there's some great emotion in this movie because you see these men sacrificing everything to go save others, including people that are in Afghanistan who are going through absolute tyranny and horror because Al-Qaeda has taken over most of the area. Now there's a great kind of underdog push as well because you have these 12 soldiers with these rebel horse soldiers as well that are fighting against 50,000 Al-Qaeda terrorists. However, you do not feel the intimate relationships that you really need for these smaller movies to really land with the audience. Also, there's a strong theme of family here as well as the men wanting to get back to their wives. However, their wives usually get 1 or 2 scenes max because most of the movie is going to take place in Iraq. So you don't see them as much, you kind of forget about them, which would have been a really strong emotional pull, but because the way the story needed to be told, you don't have that. My critic review, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. I'm going to score this a little bit higher in this particular category because of the undertaking of telling a true story and the way they did it. They had actual people that were involved in this incident, including the rebels who were in Afghanistan. 12 Strong is the story of the now declassified mission, which was the first one to take place in Afghanistan, which every military-minded person says it's an absolute miracle they pulled this off, and there's a statue in New York to commemorate it. But as far as the movie goes, one of the reasons I'm going to give this a high critic review is because of the incredible practical effects in this movie. There were very few CGI moments. In fact, I think the only thing that I particularly saw that stood out were the rockets being fired. Obviously, you can't get permits to fire missiles when you're doing a movie, so that was CGI, but all the explosions, the stunts, the horses, it was all fantastic to watch and looks great. I want to also give it a critic thumbs up because of how well they tried to follow the story, including most of the men being on a practice mission when 9/11 happened and finding out about it. The lead guy having a desk job before he went to Afghanistan, not having any real military experience on the field at that point. The incredible relationship between the Afghani rebels and the Americans that worked together, burying a piece of the World Trade Center in the soil. All these things just added to the story, and they did a really good job of trying to incorporate that for that 2-hour film. Also, fun fact, Chris Hemsworth's actual wife played his wife in the movie. He jokingly said in an interview that they've been rehearsing 7 years for this exact part. Now let's get into the leftist critique of this film. The Intercept wrote, quote, "It's time to wage war against war movies that glorify outdated models of masculinity." Alright, let's just see who this guy is that wrote this. Yeah, he must be an ally. I can see why he's more compatible with the pink hat wearing soy sipping beta male stereotype. Well, let's actually take a look at what the values are that are being promoted in this film. For faith and values, I'm going to give this movie a 4 out of 5. Maybe he's upset with the values of loving one woman unconditionally and sticking around to raise your family like most of the men in this actual story did. And most of the men in the actual battle did have wives and family they went back to. Maybe it's the value of risking your lives for the sake of others. Not only fighting for those who had thousands of loved ones ripped from them in 9/11, but also fighting with the Afghan heroes that fought against to take down the Taliban and Al-Qaeda forces that were tearing apart communities and destroying women and children's lives. And if you think that scene with the Al-Qaeda leader in the movie, where he tortured and killed a woman for teaching young girls how to read and write, if you think that's hard to stomach, just look at the UN statistics on the area. The average Afghan woman has 6 children, and 85% of the women there are still uneducated or illiterate. But wait, it gets worse. MSN reported, Quote, a village council in Pakistan reportedly ordered a 16-year-old girl to be raped in front of her own family out of revenge for the actions committed by her brother, unquote. And keep in mind, this is a established and ordained council in the community. However, after the story broke, the actual government had to come out and condemn it. So yes, I would say the values of putting down your life for the sake of others and trying to save other women and people living in this community from this insane tyranny, even being publicly raped in front of your family because of a crime that your brother committed. Fighting against that, yes, I think that is a good value that should be promoted. And what about the other values like brotherhood, looking out for the one next to you, leaving no one behind? Do you think any of those are outdated forms of masculinity? No, I think we desperately need a calling back to it. And movies like this do it. I mean, good Lord, what kind of form of masculinity do you want to promote? The kind that takes a backseat and says it's okay for communities to do this? That all cultures should be praised and appreciated, maybe even held in a higher standard than ours? That still force women under penalty of law to be completely covered in the middle of the desert? Or asked to be able to drive or not be allowed to vote? Maybe that's the kind of masculinity this guy wants to promote. Basically, when I see articles and reviews like this that say, oh, this is not time for this kind of movie, or this is not the right America that we want to promote, I like to take a step back and think, yeah, I think I'm gonna go see that one. I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. Alright, if you like this video and others like it, please consider becoming a premium member to the Rebel. That way you'll have first access to Pure Hollywood and the entire Rebel lineup.